1 year in, what's the change or the thing or the initiative that you've done that you are the most proud of?
Well, there's a lot, but one that I'm probably the most excited about is LIV.
Yeah.
It took us a long time to get that to the finish line. I was only mayor for a few months when we had that opportunity to pursue it. And to get an international sporting event in little old Westfield, Indiana, is pretty amazing. When they announced all the destinations, only 4 destinations in the United States, the rest were international. They're saying Chicago, Nashville, London, all these great cities. And at the very bottom, it says Westfield, Indiana. And I can just imagine people looking at that saying, what? Where is Westfield?
Yeah, well, take us to the beginning. Where does that process start, and how do you get your name in the hat?
So it was happening behind the scenes before I was even aware of it. Indianapolis or Central Indiana was on their radar screen because we host great events, right? Whether it be the swim trials, whether it be Super Bowl, Indianapolis has a reputation of putting on amazing events. So they were looking around at some of the different locations, and Steve Hinkie, who owns Chatham, got word of it and started a full-blown sales pitch on LIV to come to Westfield. I was in Houston at the time at a conference, and I get a call on my phone. He's like, "Where are you at, Mayor?" He's like, "I'm in Houston." He says, "I need you back here today." I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Greg Norman and the LIV team is flying in. They want to meet you. They want to talk about LIV in Westfield." I'm like, "LIV? No way." And that started, well, I was back in April. That started.
You just get on a plane?
Got on a plane that night. I called my administrative assistant, said, "Get me on the first flight out." And I was back in Indiana that evening. I met with Greg Norman, who was a childhood hero of mine. I'm not a huge golfer, but I remember growing up, Greg Norman was the Tiger Woods of my generation. And to be able to meet him and shake his hand and just have a conversation like 2 old friends was incredible. And we just put a full court press on, and we got him.
What were they looking for as they looked for areas or looked for where they were going to host LIV?
The most important thing for them was energy from the community. They wanted communities to want them to be there. Because keep in mind, LIV's coming off the whole battle with the PGA, and then there's an international piece because they're funded by the Saudis, and there's some stereotyping and discrimination that can happen because of that. So they wanted to belong to a community that wanted them there. And I think that's where we shine. We showed them a path of why Westfield makes sense. I think we rolled out the red carpet and everything we did for them that got them on board here in our community.
I mean, I think it's gonna be crazy. What can we expect?
So we're changing the golf course. Steve's making some changes. He started that this fall before they even made the announcement. So we're lengthening the golf course by, I think, 300 yards. And we're adding some bunkers, making it a little bit more challenging. So expect some changes there. Where they're going to stay, Hamilton County has a ton of hotels because of Grand Park. And I kind of laughed. They're like, "Well, can you handle 25 to 30,000 people in your city for a golf tournament?" I'm like, "We do that every weekend at Grand Park." Yeah. In fact, there are some weekends we do even much more than that. So we're accustomed to putting on these kinds of events. We have the hotels. We have the resources. We're ready for them. So I don't think the residents of Westfield won't notice a whole lot of difference other than a lot of national and international media in the community spotlighting our city.
Yeah, is there like the executive airport or whatever on the north side? It's like you're going to have private jets.
Expect that to be busy.
That's crazy.
That's right.
Man.
That's right.
That's just wild, and I think it's so good. I think that a lot of people, when they're hosting events and looking for where to host it, the idea of you can be the thing in Westfield. Like if you go to Chicago, like there's probably, Taylor Swift might be on tour there or whatever's going on. But like you're coming to Westfield and it's all LIV golf that weekend. What's the dates on it?
August the 16th through the 18th, I believe. 16th, 17th. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday tournament. They don't play on Sunday. And I'm telling all the residents, even if you're not a huge golfer, you got to see this. Because it's not what you envision when you think of golf. It's an absolute party. Golfers want to interact with you. We're probably going to have some golfing events with our students at the high school level, with some of our non-for-profits in the community. They want to immerse themselves in Westfield while they're here. So you'll see the athletes in and about the community interacting.
Yeah, as a spectator, what else should we expect for the LIV Golf Tournament?
Well, you won't be doing a lot of this type of clapping like you typically see at PGA. It's ruck. I mean, it's complete ruckus. People yelling, people cheering, people getting excited. The golfers interacting, like I said, they'll talk with the fans out on the course, which you don't see in the PGA. It's going to be a very unique experience.
And when you were going through the process, right, there's 4 U.S. based locations that were finalists. There were, I don't know, however many other international. How long was that process of courting and getting LIV to commit to Westfield?
So I got engaged in April. It had already been going on for a few months behind the scene that I wasn't even aware of. I got involved in April and we closed the deal. I think it was November.
Who were the finalists? Like, who did it come down to?
I think the final for our location in the Midwest was Chicago, Cleveland, and Westfield.
It's cool to see Westfield on the, like, you know, Chicago, Cleveland, and Westfield. And I feel like in the past we've had some big golf events at Crooked Stick.
Crooked Stick.
And
yes.
this is the first time, is this the biggest event that Chatham's hosted like this? Because it's a pretty new golf course,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. It's the biggest event Westfield's ever hosted from an international stage perspective.
For people coming in from out of town, like if you know, let's say someone from Saudi Arabia happens to see this, doing their research on Westfield, what can they expect? What are some insider tips on how to navigate Westfield for the LIV Golf Tournament?
We are Hoosiers, right? And we have Hoosier hospitality in Westfield. You're going to find it's a very small town culture to our community. So you expect people to be warm and friendly and engaging with you. So if you come from a place on this earth where you don't make eye contact and chit chat with strangers, you're probably going to feel uncomfortable in Westfield because we're very hospitable in what we do. So I think people will find when they come here, they're going to be welcomed. We're going to roll out the red carpet. We're used to putting on these events. We're going to have a lot of things going on to entertain the tourists that come in. And we got some fantastic restaurants that they're going to be able to partake of as well.